Nashville. You're listening to the Nashville Rocks Podcast. Your source for independent music in Nashville and the Mid-South. Nashville Rocks. Now, your host, Jason Coleman.
What's up, rockers? Welcome to the first Nashville Rocks audio podcast episode. My name's Jason Coleman, and I'm your host. This podcast is intended to help independent musicians, bands, songwriters, and artists of all kinds with their craft. I'll be interviewing artists of all walks so you can see into what makes them successful, and hopefully that will help you find some tricks and techniques that will help you with your career. It's also intended as an entertainment show. We'll have great artists with great music. So tune in close and enjoy the show. My first guest is the successful songwriter Nathan Brumley. He's won many songwriting competitions, including the Embassy Music National Songwriting Contest in 2000. He's had publishing deals. He's had 5 albums. He's got his tunes on major television shows and has written and recorded with well-known producers here in Nashville. He's been compared to Ben Folds 5, and he's here to share his experiences and some new tunes and talk about his music career. Remember, you can always check things out at NashvilleRocks.com. There you'll find independent and music industry news, artist profiles, links to this podcast, t-shirts, and there's even a pilot episode of the video version of Nashville Rocks for you to check out. Also, I want to remind you to stay tuned because we'll be giving away a prize at the end of the podcast. Our first guest is Nathan Brumley. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me on.
Man, it's great to have you back, and it seems like we've done this before.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't know, this is the second time I've actually had Nathan in the studio with me because we did a full episode and I had a horrible, massive hard drive erasure happen at Mac Authority. They weren't supposed to be fooling with this hard drive and they accidentally erased it. So we're recovering from that. We're doing a second interview so that we can get this thing out there. All right, man. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your music, just kind of in a broad scope?
Yeah, basically I started off my songwriting in the Christian music market and just kind of basically just that. I started as a songwriter, involved into kind of getting into production and then into kind of singing my own songs and doing the whole artist thing for a while. But essentially I'm just that, just a songwriter, just kind of looking for opportunities with my music.
And, you know, tell us a little bit about your experience with, we talked about your songwriting competitions that you've won. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience with that? Because I know a lot of people have a kind of a foul taste in their mouth with songwriting competitions in general. Do you love them or you hate them? There's people that are on either side of the line. How has it affected you with the songwriting contests in your career?
I think they've done me well. I mean, I initially moved to Nashville on a publishing deal that I had got from winning a national songwriting competition with Embassy Music. So it had basically got me my start here in town in Nashville. And then winning the USA songwriting competition in 2008, it allowed me to get some great gear for my studio. And so I really have no bad things to say about them. I will say that you can drop a lot of money. I mean, I would routinely, enter 8 to 10 songs and, drop $300 to $400 entering my songs. So it can get pretty costly, but the returns were always nice when I got got that second or third prize. So that was always a bonus.
Absolutely. And you're mentioning gear. You got gear along. It wasn't just cash prizes.
It was, I think there was one where it was like, close to 10 grand worth of gear and, different prizes. No, there was no cash, but it was just like recording gear, instruments, stuff like that. So it was a pretty cool, pretty sweet gig.
So you've built a pretty good studio at this point.
It's okay. I mean, definitely winning that helped a lot. So, I mean, that was nice.
Right. Do you record at home, or are you going to someone else's studio? Do you just do your demos at home and then you record in other studios?
I do most of my stuff at home. I'll sub out for drum work, live drum work, or maybe guitarists or bass players. But I do most of the stuff, most of the editing and vocals, MIDI at my house.
Nice. Yeah, because you're primarily piano, right?
Yeah, primarily.
Yeah. Okay, so that's songwriting competitions. Let's take a step back and talk about how you use your music and your skills as a songwriter to give back. You're involved in Songs of Love. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I was actually looking for some opportunities one day, and I was looking at the Scene magazine, which is a local Nashville publication, and they were looking for songwriters for the Songs of Love. Songs of Love basically takes songwriters and they pair them with a child, usually a child with a terminal illness, but it can be really anything. I've written for everything from terminal brain tumors to just kids with hyperactivity, or it can have a broad range of different ailments. But we just basically get a list of their interests, and we try to write a song that's customized to them, kind of taking all their hobbies and all the fun things that they like to do, and just create a song from scratch. And then we send it to the child. So it's really been a gratifying experience for me.
So a child gets a custom song written about them for them.
And they really encouraged us to use.
This is the first time I've heard of this, so it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's cool, and they basically encouraged us to use their name a lot in the songs. Like it would say pretty much every verse to say their name at least 2 or 3 times. That way, the child really feels like it's to them, like we're singing
That's
to them.
sweet.
And I can never forget my first case was actually a child with a terminal brain tumor. So it was.
Do you spend time with the child, or you're just giving the information?
I would have liked to have actually been able to perform live for the child, but they lived in so many different cities.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But I'll tell you, it was very rewarding, but it was also very sad at the same time, knowing that a lot of those children were in,
especially when you have kids too.
When you have kids, and knowing that many of those kids are in their final days, and it was very sad. It was a bittersweet.
You just kind of close the door, cry, and then write the song. Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Guys can cry. It's okay. Absolutely. Well, that's an awesome organization. I imagine if you Google Songs of Love, you can find those guys. So I encourage you, for an organization like that, if you're a songwriter and you have something to give, get out there. That's a great thing. You have gotten your tunes on some television shows, and we're going to talk more about those. But let's take a listen first to the track that got so much attention. This is Something Real. Show Me Something Real from Nathan Brumley.
So show me something I can hold within the world of my control. 'Cause I can't sample something fake if it's something I can't smell or taste. Tell me something I can hear. Or show me something I can touch and feel. So show me something I can hold within
All right, we're back with Nathan Brumley, and that was Show Me Something Real. So tell us a little bit how this song ended up, driving so much interest and getting on these television shows.
Well, it was kind of funny because the album that this came from was a total flop in the Christian market. When we promoted to radio, it had gotten no response from the Christian market, and when I had started pitching for film and TV opportunities, it's like the album just took a whole new interest with the
took on
film.
A life of its own, right?
Yeah, with the film supervisors really seemed to like the commercial pop style that it was produced in, and it really found more of a home in the TV market than it ever did in Christian radio. So it just kind of started out by basically just pitching from a site, Sonic Bids, just pitched for several opportunities and just had found that several of the companies liked the sound of the songs, and that was just one of the first ones that they picked up that they really liked.
That's awesome. And so can we talk about which shows? One song ended up on several shows, right?
Yeah, one ended up on several shows, but kind of several on that album just kind of went out to several different shows. I think that one went out to Ugly Betty, was one show that I had seen it on. Then of course the other one was Life Unexpected, and then I had another track on there that I actually just heard on The Voice the other night. It was from The Voice a few years ago,
and this was a licensing thing too. It was, and it was a buyout.
This one was a buyout from Warner Brothers. Yeah, it was just a straight out. Which that on a side note can have its ups and downs.
You get to promote that you've had a song picked up by Warner Brothers, but at the same time they paid you once, and they're done.
So and they
can use it as many times as they want.
Exactly.
Right.
So they're seeing what's called the upfront or the sync fee from that, but I still have the royalties to those songs. But yeah, it's definitely a good way to get your name out there, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is sometimes all you need to get started in the industry.
So you mentioned Sonic Bids. How did you found Sonic Bids and used them, and they are the ones who pitch your song? Is that how it works?
Yeah, basically.
It's sonicbids.com or? Yeah,
sonicbids.com. They're basically, they just host a lot of different companies that promote their opportunities, and they'll say they're looking for a specific style or genre or, film, TV opportunity, artist pitch. And I was just kind of throwing a lot of stuff out there, and the TV market seemed to be my most successful pitches.
Right. That's great, man. That's I'd be jumping up and down if that were one of my songs. So you've been performing for a long time, right? Yeah. Writing and performing. Mm-hmm. You write more than you perform.
Yeah.
Have you noticed your style change at all, or have you had people come up and say, "Well, you sound like this person," and then over time, "Oh, you sound more like this person"? Does that happen?
Yeah, I think when I first moved to town, I was definitely didn't have as much of a pop sound or rock sound. I think I've kind of evolved to more of kind of a pop rock sound, just with the styles changing in music. And I tend to write more ballads when I first moved to town, but have just realized that the up-tempo songs are really where most of the commercial sales are. So yeah, I guess maybe I have gone from more of a kind of a subdued style to more of of like a top 40 sort of style.
Right. I got you. And that kind of alludes to my second question, in that, are you intentionally writing for specific styles so that they are more commercially viable?
I think I am over time. I mean, I started out just kind of doing whatever I felt like doing, but with having kids and
you've got to become more intentional about it.
Definitely more intentional, and just focus on those specific opportunities, because so many songs are out there and so many of them get shelved, and I just try to be very specific.
I've heard of entire as I spit that out, I've heard of entire artists' repertoires being shelved.
Yeah,
they just buy you to get you off the market and put you on a shelf.
Yeah, it's really it's crazy. I mean, and then you have even great artists out there who are putting out amazing albums that get shelved, by labels. And so I really try to just, and even more these days, I even write for specific opportunities, like on the day that it comes out, just writing specifically for that. And that tends to be kind of striking when the iron's hot. That way it doesn't get buried in a pile of other songs of the library.
You've got kind of a proximal reaction to that too.
Yeah, and it's time sensitive. So they'll say, hey, we need something by Wednesday. So, I know that if I pitch something, it's going to get listened to for this particular opportunity. So it's just a little more, like you said, just intentional and specific. So.
All right. Have you had to change your approach much since the whole downloading thing has changed? Because you've been writing for so long. That has actually occurred during your tenure of writing. So
Yeah.
What kind of changes have you had to make because of all the downloading?
Well, when I first moved to town, people were still buying CDs, and it was actually shortly after that Napster became big, and then the whole downloading spiral kind of went down from there. But I've really felt like not hurting out or not playing out has really hurt me, because that's where I think artists make a lot of their money, from merch and other streams of income besides the CD sales. But I really have the opinion that if artists aren't out there performing, then it's very hard to sell physical CDs or even make themselves known to have downloads. So it is hard, and I would say that streaming is definitely the new frontier, but there's not. It's even harder still to make a living off streaming, just because of the percentage seems to be a little bit lower that the artist gets out of that. So yeah, it's definitely changed the ballgame, and I think that TV and film licensing is kind of the next biggest thing right now,
right? To
kind of hopefully make
that has opened up in the past 15 years or so.
Yeah, but even still now, the film TV market is even getting more competitive, with so many more artists finding out about that income avenue, and that's getting a lot harder now than it was for me 5-6 years ago. So.
Right. Well, that it kind of moves into my next question, is that when writing becomes difficult, writing can't be your full focus. You've got to maintain a day job. What is it that you do?
I'm a personal fitness trainer and have been doing it for, this is my 17th year. I started the day I turned 18. I actually started training at a gym in Idaho, and just kind of carried that over to Tennessee when I moved here. And it's just been a nice job to be able to kind of work my my co-writes and my music into my day.
Right.
Still have time to balance the family and get my stuff done while the kids are at school. So it's been a good schedule for doing both.
And it's a very social business too. I imagine you run into a lot of people personal training.
I do, and I run to a lot of big songwriters, producers, and
nice.
It's been kind of.
You're like, oh yeah, I'm a songwriter too.
Yeah, and the funny thing is many of them I've known for years, and I don't even tell them I do it, just because they always
don't want to be the guy that says, will you listen to my tape?
Yeah, as I have my pocket stuff full of CDs, and
right,
kind of tacky during a workout, but
that's all right.
So many of those guys, that's all they've ever known me as a trainer. So it's when they happen to find out through the grapevine, it's like it's funny, because they're so used to seeing me in that limelight of training. So
right. How has your writing and the day job and everything really affected your family life? Do you see any changes in them because of your writing? Do the kids have to be quiet while you're in the studio? How do you work your writing around your family?
Pretty much, I do nothing while they're at home or awake when they get home. I do most of my work in the afternoon, or just in and around appointments during the day.
Right. Or
I'll do it when they're in bed at night. It's just it's much too hard when they're awake. And then we always got so much going on at the house.
It's hard to keep a train of thought writing a song when you got a kid coming in. Will you come play with me?
It is. And then, practicing or any of that stuff, I mean, it's just, they're wanting to bang on the piano with me too. And
absolutely.
It's tough to really get.
So, are they picking it up yet?
They're trying to. They got so much energy that they can only focus for about 15 seconds.
Right.
So it's or they just want
like a goldfish.
Yeah, or they think they already know it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Okay, well, let's take a quick break, and we'll be back with more with Nathan Brumley. Are you an artist without a music video? Then step up to the plate and send an email to info@nashvillerocks.com for more information. You can have a music video, and it's more affordable than you might think. Every artist deserves and needs a music video for promotion, electronic press kits, and branding. Don't be caught without one. Email info@nashvillerocks.com with the subject line, video. All right, we're back with Nathan Brumley on the Nashville Rocks audio podcast. So let's talk a little bit about the kind of stuff you're writing right now. What are you writing right now?
It's very diverse right now. I'm writing anything from Christian to pop rock to indie rock to electronica to dance pop. Really, these days I've kind of diversified to kind of focus on some different markets just to kind of see what is getting the best response. And just basically doing a lot of collaborations in several different styles and just kind of seeing what hits and what's popular.
Right. And that's very interesting to hear that you say that, because it reminds me of a time when I first got out of school. My degree is actually in multi-channel recording, so I studied the recording industry. And the place I had my internship, they actually had me dubbing CDs at one point. But what this publishing company's focus was, they would look at what's going on the top charts. They would create a disc with all of the top chart songs and send that out to all of their top writers and say, this is what's going on in the market. This is what's selling. Write like this.
Yeah.
And I don't know if publishing companies are still doing that kind of thing, but there has to be some business validity to doing that.
I think it's a great idea because you got to know things change so fast and different nuances in the writing and the production that it's important. I mean, I'm always listening to what's the freshest thing on the radio or what's the hottest band,
right?
Buzz band, and it's very valuable because like I said, things change so quickly that it's good to be on top of that.
And there's a new generation around the corner.
Yeah,
every 5 years or every 10 years or whatever. All right, well, let's take a listen to it. You gotta have to help me with the name of this. Is it Shang?
The full name is Shangri-La. When I titled my MP3, I forgot to change the name of it, so nice. I had a different title. But this song was actually off my indie rock EP called Cold as Numbers with my side group, The Bitter Selway, which is basically just myself and myself playing a lot of other instruments.
I've been wandering blind with indifferent eyes through the maze of the world. I've been longing to find a better way to survive and try to make this work. This utopia shine beneath the city lights become nothing to me. I followed all the signs and given all my time for something I'll never be. But I can see you through the lies of paradise. Your beauty is beyond comparison. You've left me so amazed. I swear that in your presence I feel heaven. Your waves are like a breath of fresh air. There's no other like you. I've been looking for miles for some peace of mind to get away from it all. But I just can't escape these ordinary days unless you break these walls. You give me something to feel, the one thing that's real, my own sanity. Now I'm in your place, so everything just fades into serenity. And I never want to leave. Your beauty is beyond comparison. You've left me so amazed. I swear that in your presence I feel heaven. Your waves are like a breath of fresh air. There's no other like you. So take me to the light. Your beauty is beyond comparison. You've left me so amazed. I swear that in your presence I feel heaven. Your waves are like a breath of fresh air. There's no other like you.
All right, we're back with Nathan Brumley, and that Shangri-La is a little bit more gritty than Show Me Something Real. Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of inspired a lot by the Black Keys, Jack White, the White Stripes, Grizzly
And
Bear.
you can hear that. You can absolutely hear that.
Yeah, it's still kind of keeping the same sort of the same pattern of songwriting, but just a little bit harder on the production and just kind of branching out, reach some new fans.
Right.
Kind of different market.
And did you work with someone else on this production, or is that the next song?
No, this song was entirely produced by me.
Okay.
I did sub out to another producer for some guitar parts, and he kind of gave it that real authentic kind of Jack White.
And you've worked with him before too, right?
Yeah.
Tell us a little about your relationship with him.
Yeah, Brent Hendricks is one of the first producers that I worked with in town. He actually produced my first record, "Show Me a Sign," in 2004, and he went on to win a Dove in the Christian music business for his work. Very talented. At the time, he was only 21 when he had produced my record, but you'd never know it by the sound. He just a graduate from SAE, just very gifted producer and a guitar player.
Nice. All right. Well, are you producing or mentoring any other artists?
Yeah, right now I'm actually work with an artist named Jen Franklin. She's kind of more of pop rock piano artist, very similar to myself. Very similar sound. I would say I would liken her to maybe like Tori Amos or sort of that line of female.
I used to get into
piano.
Tori Amos. I liked her stuff.
Yeah, a little darker, but great, well written songs, great pop. And I brought Brynn in on some of the guitar work on her stuff, and now we're actually bringing in Kelly Clarkson's drummer on a few of the tracks for her now that we're working on. And really,
is this drummer in Nashville?
He's actually my neighbor. Yeah,
there are so many big people in Nashville, and you just trip over them all the time.
It's crazy. I never would have guessed that. That they're just even in my neighborhood. How many people are in the music business and are phenomenal. I mean, just are doing big things, and they're just all around us.
I go to church out in Franklin, and Franklin is like the hub of Nashville music business right now.
It is. You got
so many musicians and artists living in Franklin. It's ridiculous. When you go to one of our church's sessions, the band that's up on stage is just so phenomenal because they're all like music business folks, and they play for their church because they love to do it.
Yeah, it was when I first moved to Nashville and heard some of these bands play in churches, it pretty much made me want to just go like dig a hole and hide in it because I felt
There's so many good people here.
I felt so far below where a lot of these players were that it just blew my mind that even at going to church, it just sounded like a concert. It was so great. I mean, it was just the musicians were so talented. It blew my mind.
I know it. All right, well, let's take a listen to another track. This is Unlovable from Nathan Brumley.
For a while, then you leave me behind for a week.
All right, we're back with Nathan Brumley, and you just heard Unlovable. And that one has some upbeatness to it as well.
Yeah, that's kind of a cross between the first one and the kind of the grungier style.
Right.
Still kind of on the harder side of pop. And just basically just kind of trying out some new stuff and kind of rocking it out with some guitars as well.
I love guitar music, so
yeah. There's something to be said about a ballad, but man, just there's also something about just a good rock song, and that just really gets me excited. So I love upbeat rock.
Absolutely. So let's move forward. And one of the intentions that I want to have for the Nashville Rocks podcast is to have good, concrete information for up and coming artists, songwriters, even people in the middle America who are thinking, I should move to Nashville and become a star. Something that people can use and help their own careers. So can you give us kind of an actionable, something that a songwriter or an artist can use right now that will help them, some kind of tip that will help them right away be better at their art?
The one thing I can say that has really helped me, it's going to take time. That's the one thing you got to give yourself. They always said, give it the 5-year plan.
Right.
And this is my 14th year here, and even still, there's still opportunities that there's still places I thought I would be that I'm not quite, haven't arrived there yet. So
right.
The one thing I can say is that just get ready for a long haul and try to do at least one thing daily to further yourself towards your dream, whether it's a songwriter, reach out to 2 or 3 collaborations on Facebook or Twitter, or networking with somebody. I heard a recent tip that a guy had once told me about, where it's called the 5 rule. Just basically like in a week, try to reach out to 5 new people 5 days of the week, whether it be a publisher, producer, songwriter. And over time,
once a day, that's not too hard.
Once a day, yeah. And over the course of a year, that amounts to 1,000 people. So if you're doing one thing to further yourself every day, then you can never feel you've only failed when you've given up trying.
Right.
And just because you're not making success within 5 years does not mean that your music is bad. Because like I said, my first record totally just was not a success in Christian.
Mm-hmm.
But I believed in it, and I knew that I had some songs in there that had potential, and I kept pushing it and found a whole new level of success with it in the TV market.
Right.
But had I have kept pursuing the
perfect example,
yeah,
really.
How if I would have kept pursuing the radio market or the Christian market, I think I would have been defeated, and I wouldn't have achieved the success as I would have in the TV market off those same
right.
songs. So music is very subjectable. I mean, one crowd may very much not like it. You may get to another, and it may be the best thing that they've heard. So
right.
Just persistence, and just because you're not getting an immediate response does not mean the music is bad. Just finding the right target audience is really a big thing.
That's right. And there's so much music out there.
Yeah, the saturation
and there are so
is
many
incredible.
different types of fans. It's, I love hard rock, but my wife loves country. She doesn't even know who, Metallica is. You know what I mean? Like, has no clue whatsoever. Unfortunately, I've had to go to a few country concerts, but that's the nature of being in Nashville. But moving on to the interview, I'm thinking of some of the things that we missed from last time, and one of them is, can you tell us a little bit about some of your performances, because you've performed in a lot of different places as well. Do you have any experiences performing that you can share with us?
Yeah, I've been fortunate to play the Bluebird 4 or 5 times. And the Bluebird, just for people that live out of town, is a pretty big songwriting venue in town. A lot of the big Nashville writers will play there, who have had number ones or mainly in the country market, but also in the pop market as well. I was able to do a big round one time with Keith Stegall, who's a big country producer, produced Alan Jackson. And just a host of other ones. And I was able to play with a lot of number one writers for an event here in Nashville. Songs of Love had a big benefit where we were able to play with a lot of big Nashville writers. So, but most of the stuff I've been I do have a band. I do have a full band. I don't do a whole lot of full band stuff anymore.
Right.
Most of the stuff now is just mainly songwriter gigs. But I've always been a big supporter of causes. I've done some stuff with the Lupus Foundation.
Right.
Of course,
That's where we met, actually. Yeah.
And of course, the Songs of Love. And then also I've worked with the MS groups a little bit. So I'm all about.
And those are big crowds usually.
Usually those
if you
are
play a benefit, there's usually a lot of folks that show up for those.
Those have been really good. And they also
You get more feedback that way too.
Yeah, I've been able to get a better feel for how the music hits with audiences like that, and they also get some really good bands in there too. So it's cool to be able to see everyone come together for both a good cause and just hear some good music.
Right.
All in one spot.
You got anything you're promoting right now?
I'm actually working on a new Christian pop project here that's I'm probably shooting for maybe the first of the summer, releasing it and. Basically, it's kind of getting back to basics. I took a break for a while from Christian and kind of got into indie rock and dance pop, but this is just kind of getting back to just basic, Christian radio, friendly songs.
Right.
Getting into a little bit of worship songs and just some of the old pop I used to do on my first record. So
Right.
I'm excited to kind of see where this goes. It's kind of going in a new direction yet again, and just kind of seeing how it all pans out.
Nice. Well, how do the folks out there find Nathan Brumley?
Probably my best site right now is my Reverb Nation site is just www.reverbnation.com/Nathan Brumley.
Nice.
Or my SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/Nathan Brumley songwriter.
Okay. You had to add songwriter on there because there's another Nathan Brumley. Are you kidding me?
I just did because actually there's a guy on Facebook I know. And
I have the same problem. There, now that we're in the digital age, you find out that there are people with your name all over the country.
Yeah, I thought for sure I was the only one, and there is just one more. But what's funny is that I think Facebook accidentally secured one of his pages as mine. So whenever I go from like a mobile device, I go in there and I got all his feeds and everything. So I gotta get that fixed because I'm not that Nathan Brumley.
All right, and you have a Twitter.
I do. It's /nbrum7770.
Okay, rock on. And you have a YouTube?
I do, and it's just /Nathan Brumley.
All right, sweet. And you're going to have nathanbrumley.com here real soon. So we got that going on. Nathan, man, I want to sincerely thank you for being the first guest on the Nashville Rocks audio podcast. It's been a pleasure having you, and we look forward to hearing more about your songs and what you're up to here in the near future. Let me know what's going on. We want to hear your new stuff when you release it. We'll get it on the show. I'd love to have more songs on the show, so that's going to be something that I'm going to be doing in the future.
That sounds good, man. I'm excited.
Awesome. All right, well, thank you all much for listening to the Nashville Rocks audio podcast. As we said, we're going to give away some Nathan Brumley tunes and his first release, Show Me a Sign, and maybe even a mystery gift. So here's what you do. Go to NashvilleRocks.com and sign up for our newsletter. Every newsletter subscription that comes in will be an entry into the contest. We'll announce the winner on the next podcast. Now, don't go and sign up a bunch of times. We'll be watching out for that kind of thing. But if you don't care about the newsletter, then just send an email to info@NashvilleRocks.com with the subject line, Nathan Brumley. The Nashville Rocks podcast is brought to you by Extreme Measures Hosting. Quality domains and hosting for your band, your brand, and your music. ExtremeMeasuresHosting.com. Well, that's the show. I hope you enjoyed it. Join us next time when we have another exciting musical guest on the Nashville Rocks audio podcast. Goodbye, and God bless.